Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Special welcome to SATV's International Affairs Special Edition. My name is Rashid Kanchan as host, and we'll have a very terrific panel today because yesterday the nation has received a budget declaration from the finance advisor, Dr. Salahuddin Ahmed. So there are mixed actions, reactions are going on in media from different business associations and chambers. We will have one of the very distinguished business leader, Habibullah N. Karim, who was the former president of BASIS in IT sector, and we have in studio our regular international affairs commentator Shamsul Alam Pantho, and at Zoom we will catch Fazlul Haq, a very prominent business leader. He was the former president of BKMEA. Let us start from our international affairs commentator Shamsul Alam Pantho. Sir, what are you going to pick from international edition today?
Thank you, Mr. Kanchan. A very warm welcome to Mr. Karim as well for being here. Let me begin. Also, good afternoon to our viewers. We have a second round of meeting at Turkey regarding Russia and Ukraine talk. However, as the major world headlines, we see a Ukraine assault at a Russian aircraft hangar, which has taken a storm on social media. Aside from this, we have Donald Trump doubling steel tariffs to 50% on Wednesday. It's regarding Nippon's acquisition of US steel. Aside from this, Mount Etna has erupted in Sicily's Mount Etna. We see that a lot of tourists were escaping the field for their own protection and safety. And also we have the NATO Secretary General's joint press conference at the B9, Bucharest 9, also known as the Vilnius Summit. So
there are various subjects. I can also add one thing. In retaliation to Ukraine's attack to Russian airways and 40 Russian aircraft has been destroyed, Russia attacks retaliated to Ukraine. Russian forces continue assaults according to different news sources across Ukraine. On 3rd June, I mean today, a missile strike in Sani resulted in the death of multiple injuries. Additionally, shelling in eastern regions killed at least 1 and 5 civilians dead. 5 civilians also dead, with incidents in Karamask. In different areas, Russia is assaulting Ukraine as well. Let us come to Habibullah N. Karim, very senior person and a very learned person. I know him since last almost 25 years as a business leader. Yesterday, the nation has received the upcoming fiscal years 2025-26 national budget, mixed of chocolates. People are telling it mixed of chocolates, some sour, some sweet, some salty. As a business leader, you have keen observation on the national budget, I know. What is your first impression on the gross budget at a glance?
Well, this being an interim government and under the changed circumstances, the government has a number of extraordinary challenges they're facing, which are more exacerbated because it is an interim government. So the revenues have fallen greatly, so they have to make up for it. And whenever they make up for lost revenue, the business community seems to be the easiest target. So this has happened in this budget also. So for example, on e-commerce, as you have seen, that the VAT has been raised in one step from 5% to 15%. This is going to have a hit on large e-commerce establishments. And interestingly, people who are doing very small Facebook commerce, they are not under the VAT net, so they will escape unscathed. In terms of the taxation regime, which is across the board, I'm a bit surprised that the top bracket for income tax has been raised to 30%, and then also including supplementary taxes, it can go up to almost 40%. That I find a little strange in the sense that, if you take statistics of taxpayers, you'll find that usually nobody pays at the highest tax bracket. Whenever you raise upper tax brackets, there tends to be more tax evasion. So I don't think from a philosophical standpoint this is a good strategy. This should have been rather mitigated through expanding the tax net as opposed to raising income taxes on the good taxpayers. So this was another thing which caught my attention. But in general, there hasn't been too many surprises. As I said, this being the budget by an interim government, they have too many restrictions on their hands. It is as if they're doing a budget while they're being in a straitjacket.
Sir, if you just allow me 30 seconds
Sure.
to interrupt. Critics are saying this is the photocopy of national budget approved in the parliament in 2024, which was the national budget of fiscal year 2024-2025.
Right.
But before that, the regime has changed, new government has come. This same very economic advisor, finance advisor, has executed the previous government's budget, 9,97,000 crore budget, and
9,70,000 crore.
And
yeah.
the same budget is a photocopy, people are saying. But difference is in that government, 2024-25, there was some development programs, infrastructural budget, huge construction budget, huge metro budget. But this government has stopped almost all development work. But why the budget size is almost same? That's why critics are getting chance to say that it is a photocopy of that budget. What is your comment on that?
Well, generally speaking, yes, there are no structural changes. So budgetary framework remains the same. So it may seem that it's a continuation of the same framework. But as I said, that I don't think the government had too many instruments of change in their hands when it comes to fiscal management. In terms of the size of the budget, I think it's slightly lower than last year's.
8,000 crore.
Yeah, so marginally lower than last year. Usually we see the budget volume or the size increases by about 10 to 20% each year. So this year at least they curtailed it somewhat. I agree with you that given the size of the development budget, which has been drastically reduced, maybe the overall budget size could have been further reduced. But then we haven't had chance to pore through all the details to figure out exactly what is there. But generally speaking, I would agree with you that it is the same framework. Yes.
Same framework, sir. Thank you very much. And I want to do a different kind of questions to our international affairs commentator, who is actually keenly watching the international top headlines, but also he has interest about the national budget, as we are talking before. My question is, this government has an answer for the same size of budget. They did not officially comment on that, but as a journalist we have got some information that government says we have to repay some of the undue payment of the donors and foreign aids. That's why the budget size is almost same, though development work is stopped, but we did not stop the foreign repayment. What is your comment on that?
Thank you, Mr. Kanchan. Actually, we have to see the needs of the people in Bangladesh. Certainly with this kind of budget, we know we are tackling a poverty line issue. Most of the communities below that line, they are struggling to make the ends meet. Not just that, we've seen that much of the Bangladeshi population would be better fared if they had a budget that was beneficial to the people. Not just this, the budget has to be more descriptive. In what sectors are we going to increase the taxation, what sectors are going to be less looked at. It has to be much more formal. Not just that, we have to check what kind of requirements we will have in the upcoming year. In comparison to most major nations, their military spending has gone up drastically. You can see in the European nations, also in the UK, everyone is focusing on a military spending increase. Maybe we should think about what kind of military spending budget we have or we've had and increase that couple of fold.
Sir, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have got in Zoom another very distinguished business leader, Fazlul Haq, who was the former president of BKMA, Bangladesh Knitwear Manufacturers Association of Bangladesh. And recently, one of his article, I have been opportunity to read that article. He presented it in Foreign Investors Chamber of Commerce and Industries meeting, FICCI. The article was the apparel industry companion to economic progress. In his article, he emphasized that Bangladesh's garment export sector has quietly become a key driver of the nation's economic development despite so many challenges. Mr. Fazlul Haq, thank you very much for joining with us. Can you hear us properly, sir?
Yes, sir. I'm hearing you.
Thank you very much. Once again, I appreciate your time to SATV, and my question is, nations received national budget for the fiscal year 2025-26, and I know every year we see that from some actions, reactions, comment or analysis from organizations like BKMA, and you have successfully led that big organization. What is your comment on this time on budget?
Thank you for inviting me. And the first thing I would like to say that this budget is nothing special to me. So far I understood, so far I have read the details as far as possible to me, because it's a big documents, you all know, and we are not the technical guy to understand all the technicality within this 12 hours or 14 hours of time. But so far I understood there is nothing special in this budget, and it is just a continuation of the previous budget, just readjusting some figures to keep the the accounting statement, something like this, that to be more or less same. There is nothing as a citizen, not as a ex-president of BKMA even, that I was expecting something drastical change in the budget addressing the issues when they will, but I see there's nothing new, only adjusting some here and there. But on top of that, what actually we are already a little bit, there are a lot of taxation in different names, and we still to understand all the details, and that certainly will increase our ORs in coming days for sure. As of now, I'm sure there is nothing. I think we can say that it actually make us pleased that not only the government owners but the other businessmen or the probable investors. So that's my summarized understanding in last 12 hours or 14 hours.
Sir, very articulated response, but I have a query is that the businessman, the analyst, the economist and the critics are saying that according to this budget, bank interest will go high. It will be threat for the businessman, for the investors. The inflation will have to, the nations will have to face a terrible inflation, VAT, taxation, policies and collections, pressure on NVR. So many things will make our economy complicated, which will redirect the GDP in the lowest in the history. As a businessman, as a citizen of this country, and of course, as a patriotic nation, what is your comment on that? Are we making everything complicated for the nation, because economy is the bloodline of the nation?
Yeah. I think my comments is something a little bit. Maybe I would look like my own comment that in the budget they fixed 5.25% GDP growth and bringing down the inflation rate up to 6.5, if I'm not wrong. So. But the steps they have taken, none of this goal is looking to be achieved. To be that's I'm not a very expert. I'm a businessman. I'm a student of a business, but understood a little bit of economy. So far I understood that it is not possible to achieve 5.25 GDP growth or targeting that 6.50 inflation rate. And you correctly said that probability of increasing the bank interest rate high, it is because government already targeting, I think, 125,000 crore Dhaka of bank loans in the next budget, and they are also simultaneously they are expecting a huge amount of foreign loan, which might be under doubt. And if they don't get enough foreign loan, that loan would be covered by the local bank loan. So that will increase certainly the availability of funds for the local investors, local businessmen. So that I already made comment yesterday immediately with another media, and obviously, as you correctly said, that that pressure will also increase the interest rates, so that make our lives maybe more critical in coming days.
Sir, I would rather very humble request to you to stay online with us, because we have Habibullah and Karim, former president of BASIS. I think you are hearing Fazlul Haq.
Sure.
He has a very critical analysis, not critical criticism on the budget. He said he agreed that bank interest rate will go higher. In that aspect, what would be the consumer product? As our international commentator Shamsul Alam Pantu was saying, if impact come on the consumer products, the everything will be, in a volatile situation.
That is true. I mean, what Fazlul Bhai just mentioned is his apprehension that interest rates may rise because government borrowing excuse me, may crowd out the credit market, which is that means if government borrows too much, we have small pie that we can share for the private sector credit. That is definitely is a risk, but I am hopeful that international multilateral lending organizations such as JICA, ADB, World Bank, I believe they will keep their commitments to provide loans, but that again will raise another risk that then these loans will have to be repaid in foreign currency. So already we have very high foreign currency loan repayment commitments for the government. So as you have correctly pointed out, that no matter what the present government does, all the expenditure that the previous government has done has to be repaid by the present government and future governments, so that we cannot escape. So that is a huge chunk of the budget, both in terms of repayments to our foreign creditors as well as repayments to local creditors, banks and bonds and all of that. That trend is continuing, and we hope that there could be more revenue generated by the government. Government, if they can collect more revenue, maybe that will reduce the pressure on borrowing from the local market, which then will give more credit facility for local business people. And as he has pointed out, Fazlul Bhai has pointed out, without the growth of the business sector, without additional investments by local businesses as well as foreign businesses, we cannot have GDP growth, we cannot have job growth. So that will be at huge risk.
So you have used 3 full stop. We cannot. I want to go back to Fazlul Haq sir once again. Sir, I'm not an economic journalist, I'm a very ordinary journalist, but I have gone through the entire budget last whole night, and I became a little bit disappointed, frustrated, demoralized and upset also, because the 2 main source of income is, one is remittance, another is RMG export. In the entire budget, I did not find any forecast for the fiscal 2025-26. What is the government's forecast on remittance and forecast on RMG budget? Fazlul Haq sir, are you online right this moment?
Yes.
Can you tell me, is this a matter of frustration that the 2 big sources of income is remittance and RMG, but in the entire budget I did not find a single line? Last whole night I have gone through the entire budget, I did not find a single indications of forecast on RMG and remittance. Don't you find that this is an immature forecast, immature thinking? Let us be honest, sir. Let us be honest.
I already told that I was a bit frustrated seeing that nothing mentioned about the RMG sector. And RMG sector, not it is the foreign currency earning. It has multiple impact on the economy. You know, the job creation and that it's the impact on other industries. So you cannot only compare with the amount of the wage earners are sending here. They are just sending money. And if you only take amount of US dollar they are sending and in compared to net, you can see, okay, it is neck to neck. But, you know, if you consider the other impact on the economy, government sector has, you know, that's why I wrote this article. This is a silent supporter or builder of the Bangladesh's economy last 3 decades. And I come back, I would like to just add one comment with Habibullah Karim bhai that regarding the bank interest rate, you see that government now offering the bonds with a rate of interest 10.5 to 11, and banks are very happy and very much eager to go to buy the bonds and don't like to take any risks to lending to the private sector. So if they can earn 11%, 10.5 to 11% through government secured bonds, so don't you think that they will ask the much higher interest rate to lend money to the private sector, which is comparatively more risky for them? So that's also I like to bring into your notice that that's also a big factor. So government has to consider, because they are directly becoming a big competitor when we are looking for money to borrow from the banks. And obviously, Mr. Presenter, you correctly said that there is nothing about the government sector. I did not notice about the remittance, but certainly they should have some sort of the planning. But there is something that it is mentioned in the budget that they are doing, those who are doing something to ease the life of the remitter who are sending the money from outside. So there is a little bit, not, but you are correct that considering the impact, the percentage of impact of the remittance and the ready-made garments, it should have more. I think should get more attention from the policy makers who write the budget in the speech, sir, or in the whole context of the budget.
Sir, I have gone through, I have read your article, Apparel Industry Companion to Economic Progress, where you have elaborately given some guidelines as well, and this article has been published in different outlets, different journals, and it became, to be very honest, it became very popular. Thank you very much for writing such an in-depth article on the industry which can save the economy of Bangladesh. And I believe that government should go through your article, which could help them to give some facilities to the garments industry, because if we cannot save RMG and if we cannot encourage remittance, to be very honest, as a very civil citizen of this country, very ordinary citizen of this country, I can tell you that the economy of this country is going to be under control by some other countries, some other nations, which prescription is going to be seen in the budget declaration. Some critics says, I don't want to go for that debate. I want to request you, sir, please be with us in this discussion, because we have some other issues to discuss regarding the RMG sector, remittance and other export goods, our ports, our cheap labor, our electricity, our power generation. I will request you to stay a few more minutes with us. I want to come back to our international commentator. You are a young generation entrepreneur. You are running business in different sectors. What do you think? What impact you will have to face after this budget, because it is the same copy budget we see and critics also says. What is your opinion, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Kanchan. As you know, we also work and operate in the tourism industry. An industry official has said we are the first to get damaged and the last to recover in any given circumstance. We've seen an ousting of a previous government and we're still in the transition of power. I would be much happy if I saw that the budget would reflect the needs and requirements of the general people. Whereas there are far more pressing issues that the budget does not or has not made a comment on. You mentioned that the RMG ready-made garment industry, there's no such allocation for it. For the last 8 months, we see how the political instability of the country has made sure of major world manufacturers to think about other places of manufacturing their products instead of it being in Bangladesh. There has been severe loss in the RMG sector. Not only that, from certain social media posts, I know that there is some gas shortage in order to create some of the ready-made garments, especially denim. So in my understanding, even in the tourism industry, we see that some of the prices of raw materials has gone up, such as beef. We have a long-standing complaint about imported beef, the imported steaks. We are not being able to gain them as or receive them as easily. So in my opinion, the budget should be more people-friendly rather than serving the purpose of the interim government.
Say in one word, are you happy with this budget?
Absolutely not.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are hearing from distinguished panelists. I should say I have a very terrific panel today, very knowledgeable, very conscious what is happening in this country, because everybody we love our country. We'll be back after a short. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We were discussing the national budget. We have two distinguished businessmen in studio. We have Habibullah and Karim, and at Zoom we have Fazlul Haq, who was the former president of BKMA, one of the largest sector in Bangladesh in RMG. I want to get connection with Fazlul Haq, sir. My question is to you. As per the Constitution and Article 15 provision of basic necessity, Article 15A is saying that food, clothes, shelter, healthcare and education is citizens' basic fundamental rights. But you know, I know, everybody knows in last 54 years what citizen has received from Article 15 basic necessity of provisions. Now new generation started to say we don't need these 5 fundamental rights. Please give us only one right, that is employment. Give us job, help us to do business, help us to start up, let us do business. We will fulfill that 5 fundamental rights which is written in the Constitution, but result is zero. Nobody is getting anything except some subsidies in few sectors like healthcare, agriculture, sort of things. New generation is directly telling to government that give us employment and surety, we will recover that 5 things. This is one. And according to Constitution, budget has to be approved in parliament with majority votes of the parliamentarians, but this time we do not have parliament. So advisory council will approve the budget. Still we have 1 month to pass the budget. Do you have something to do corrections to include or exclude from this proposed budget, sir? Fazlul Haq, sir.
Thank you. And I think the young generation correctly said, if they get the employment, they can cover all other 5 things by themselves. So they don't need to depend on anybody or the state or the government. And but unfortunately, this budget did not focus that much for creating new jobs, and only one thing I found that 100 crore taka has been kept for the startup, for the new business, or making the new I think entrepreneur. But simultaneously, I'm a bit surprised to see that another 100 crore taka has been sanctioned to make the youth festival or something like that. Is it to make that youth group or youth generation just keep them pleased somehow? So that is, I did not expect from the this interim government. It is more a political gimmick or something like that. Rather, you can increase those 100 crore and in the fund to create the new entrepreneur, and simultaneously, as you correctly mentioned, if they have their own job, they can arrange they can make such party by themselves. So I think this is the call of the day or call of the time that you have to create more jobs, and the budget did not focus that much, and only 100 crore. It sounds 100 crore is big money, but in true sense, when you are talking about creating new entrepreneurs, then 100 crore is not that much. So at least those 100 crore sanctioned for the youth festival can be converted to the money or transfer the money to the fund for the creating new entrepreneurs. And if possible, I would ask government to allocate more money from somewhere else to create more jobs or create more entrepreneurs in next 1 year.
Fazlul Haq sir, thank you very much. Former President BKMA, thank you very much for your contribution to SATV. I really appreciate, sir, your presence on the show.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Habibullah and Karim, you were also in a business different forums. You led BASIS. E-commerce is one of the potential prospect of Bangladesh for the young generation. Have you find anything allocation for the e-commerce or startup or young generation? As Fazlul Haq sir is saying, only 100 crore for the inspiration and 100 crore for the festival. Doesn't it is ridiculous?
Now, of course, I mean, not only to facilitate startups, but there are many other ways you can facilitate entrepreneurship. So startup fund is something that has been around for some time, but it hasn't been very effective. So they could give guidance or directions on how to make that more effective. For example, in Bangladesh Bank, they had a equity fund to provide equity support to agriculture and IT entrepreneurs. That has virtually been defunct in the last few years because of proper direction from the government. So these could be further bolstered and, not 100 crore, 200 crore. We would like to see maybe 1,000 crore, 2,000 crore kind of size of funds allocated to these so that they can be effective vehicles for white-collar job growth. One of the things that I don't know if you're aware of, Bangladesh has this alarming trend, very alarming trend, that the higher you are educated, the higher the chances of your unemployment. That means we have the highest university graduate unemployment in Asia. So, and these university educated unemployed youth is a ticking time bomb. So, these people, we need to find white collar jobs for these young men and women as quickly as possible. So there needs to be very elaborate government facilitation in collaboration with the private sector, chambers, associations and other, private sector entities, because we need millions of jobs, not just a few thousand. We need millions of jobs. Each year we get...
Sir, I can help you giving one
Sure.
data. 2.2 million young generations are passing out
Exactly.
every year into the job market.
Correct. 2.1 to 2.2 million.
2.2, sir, latest
Right.
data.
So that means, and right now we are not creating that many jobs for these young graduates. And that, as I said, is a social time bomb. We really cannot afford to have that. The other part, as you have rightly pointed out, that e-commerce is something that is necessary for to give more speed, more momentum to the economy, because we need to, e-commerce is part of the digital economy. In terms of the digital economy, Bangladesh is still at the very early stages. You also know that because of the political turmoil and the economic, more than the political economic turmoil in the last almost 2-3 years or longer, our poverty rate has actually crept up instead of going down. So, and extreme poverty has gone up substantially. So, the only way we can arrest that process, only we can stop poverty from going up instead of going down, is by increasing employment at all levels of society and all parts of the country. And one of the ways we can do that is by incentivizing digital economy. These poor people who are going from worse to from bad to worse, they need credit support, and existing banking structure cannot give support to such people. So you need digital vehicles for that. You need digital banks. You need fintech, innovative fintech entrepreneurs, startups. You need so these people need to be incentivized. These people need to be brought into the mainstream economy.
Very articulated presentation, sir. I'm sure I was watching that our international affairs commentator, Mr. Shamsul Alam Pantu, is taking notes from Fazlul Haq sir and from you as well. I'm sure he has something to add or to debate, because one thing I want to say, as a governor, Salahuddin Ahmed was a very successful governor. He's a gentleman, no doubt about it, but at the age of 87, he could not connect the dots of young generation thoughts. What's your comment?
Thank you, Mr. Kanchan. According to Mr. Karim, he did mention about fintech development in the country. In a previous show, I said, how would we do if we can host the international fintech giant PayPal? As you know, PayPal does serve much of the markets worldwide. Actually, if you look at this, we are actually in a race against time, whether if it's concerning development. Other nations in our neighborhood has developed infrastructure which is in a larger course of events providing towards their people and their economy. In Bangladesh, we do see a growth in the last 15 years, if you say 10-15 years, we do see a growth. However, it is not as much as we would like in comparison to other countries. I'll give you an example. The London metro station, it has been created well over 25 years. Even in the Singapore MRT, well over 25 years now. Whereas recently we are only touching what the metro station could be in terms of Dhaka city. And it's not based in other states of Bangladesh either. Well, while other countries are developing the fastest mode of transport, bullet trains, we are still figuring out how to connect all of our states together using the traditional engine combustion train line. So, in my opinion, it is actually a race against time, and how far and which government would do for the country. Most definitely, in the entire world will either look up to us or frown upon us based on the developments we find. Of course, if there was an innovative breakthrough in Bangladesh, most definitely we could be as an international global player.
Sir, before coming to this show, for both of you gentlemen, I just want to compare one thing. I have gone through the British budget, passed in British House of Commons and approved in British House of Lords. I have gone through the budgets of France, Germany, and I have compared our budget. Our budget is almost a traditional cycle from 1972 to till date, but they have gone in a different dimensions, different diversifications. They set the focus on the youth, infrastructure, IT, AI, innovation, but our budget is still based on the 1972 style, that what would be the inflation, what would be the GDP, what would be the size of government employees payment. Why we don't read the budget practices in West, those who are really developed country? I just want to do this question first to you, then
I think that's a very good question. And in fact, as Fazlur Bhai earlier said, our budget is more like an accounting statement. We don't see much of direction, we don't see much of guidance to the nation, as to where it aspires to go. The young generation, they certainly are eager to learn and apply AI tools. They're eager to learn and apply, the latest innovations in all kinds of emerging technologies, not just AI, but there you have got more than 20 such emerging technologies, from 3D printing to drone technology and so many others. So young generation look forward to those kind of guidance and direction. Unfortunately, we haven't seen any such directions in a real sense. But more important than that, every year when we have this budget exercise, every year we talk about this, which products will go down in price, which products will go up in price. That is so last century. That is so not even last century, 19th century, not even 20th century, that kind of thinking. That is cement price going to go down or up, is car price going to go up? And why? Why do we need to stick these things into the budget? There should be a 10-year timeline. If the government, as I was telling you, that the e-commerce VAT has been raised from 5% to 5%, why in one jump? Why can't you say that every year we'll increase the VAT rate on e-commerce by 2.5% and in 4 years it will be 15%? Why can't we give a direction that income tax bracket will go up from, let's say, 20% by 1% each year up to about 30% in the next 10 years, when people may have better capacity to pay and will not mind? Why all of a sudden this kind of knee-jerk reactions? Why this kind of jumps here and there? So this cannot be the paradigm of budgeting in 21st century.
Sir, Habibullah Karim, very learned person, very successful businessman. He has used so many why. Why
Yes.
this budget? I think you have some answers, because you are the new generation leader.
I picked out an example based on Mr. Karim's talk here. In the previous government, we see the price of 1 liter of octane was at 89 taka. During their time, it has increased up into 130 taka, which is now 125 taka. Given that the previous regime blended on the Ukraine-Russia war, which is still going on today, was there a chance in the budget where this price could be reduced? That's my question, as this is also a why question, as now it's gone from 89 to 130 or 126 in that bracket. Shouldn't it go through the process that it should be 89 now, maybe later it could be 95, and so on and so forth, could be 100. There could have been an exponential growth in this matter. But however, in Bangladesh we see every other fiscal year some specific issues will just jump double-fold, triple-fold without any kind of explanation. It's a very damning situation actually.
Gentlemen, both of you, thank you so much for a very lively discussions and to some extent debates for the budget. Before ending the show, I have some thing to tell you which I love to share with my viewers. Today is an International Bicycle Day. See, bicycle is a very simple thing, simple essential things in our life, but United Nations has declared 3rd June as International Bicycle Day to keep your health fit and to save the planet from carbon. So try to use bicycle to save the planet and to save your health. And I have some things to wish. Today is a birthday of esteemed CNN journalist and television personality Anderson Cooper, who is very popular worldwide. The previous First Lady Jill Biden, she has the birthday today. Raul Castro, former president of Cuba, his birthday today. Rafael Nadal, he's the tennis sensation, his birthday today. And Pakistani cricketer, he's also a cricket sensation, Wasim Akram. These are the birthday. But in history, I have one thing to mention, that legendary boxer and social activist Muhammad Ali died at the age of 74 in Arizona in 2016 on 3rd June. We have good wish for all of them. And before ending the show, I want to utter some of the words which I have picked from my very learned panelists. Number one is citizens' right and economy. It is one part, and another part is so called democracy and election. Which one nations going to face first? Which one nations going to pick first? This is a question for the audience. I will see you tomorrow.